we're gonna start World War III right now.
I'm going to war against Ukraine.
No, because we actually have to do notes after the test, so we're gonna start World War III. Life is so unfair. You back, Jonathan? Because we're doing notes now. Life is so unfair, we actually have to do schoolwork. Thank you. Yeah, surely.
Thank you.
All right, WW2, what do you know? When did it start? When did it end? Who were some players, actors, instigators, protagonists, antagonists? What do you know, Caleb? Nazis, okay. What else? Hitler. So you got Hitler and the Nazis, is that all you know? Anybody else? Churchill.
Took place in the 40s.
In the 40s? Early, middle, late?
Middle, right? Or was it like 1940?
Pearl Harbor. Anybody on that side of the room? Jews, Hitler, Nazis, Jews, concentration camps. 40s actually started in the 30s, but goes to 1945. Churchill, major leader in England. Yeah. Atomic bomb, chemical warfare, which was in World War I as well. But anything else? You guys haven't said anything American other than Pearl Harbor. We kind of adopted him, Isaac, so that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, his bust is in the White House. Well, it was, and then it wasn't, and now it is again, I think. Because one of the presidents decided that Churchill wasn't worthy of being in office. Anyway, yeah. Japanese American internment. Internment's the word used instead of imprisoned or internment because they weren't technically imprisoned, but yet they were moved to places and given housing where they could be watched, because why would we do that? Right. And you had many recent first generation or even less than that, like months, weeks, recent immigrants from Japan, and America's like, whoa, they just attacked our country. Who are these people going to give their allegiance to? The country they're living in, America, who's at war with the country they're from? So we'll talk a little bit like that. That's another, like, quote unquote, stain on American history. But we have to be careful not to judge historical things based on present day facts that we know, and not that it never totally erases it, right? Like, what are the odds that Jake and I, as much as we stand against racism and slavery, what are the odds we actually would have like really fought against it in 1722 or 1822? I don't know. Let's say 1822. I don't know. I really don't. What would I have done? I'd like to think I would have been there fighting against it the whole way, but if that was true for most people, wouldn't it have ended a lot earlier? Anyway, anything else before we start? Yeah. Okay. Anybody know any generals on the American side? There's two very, very well-known popular generals. There's many more popular generals, but two of the most well-known are General Patton. We'll talk about him. And anybody know the one that told the people in the Philippines, I'll be back? We talked about him
last week. He was the guy that Hoover sent in to fix the marchers, the bonus expeditionary force. We had to clear the streets of Washington. This is the guy that Hoover sent in. He later becomes an incredible hero in the Pacific Theater. Yeah. Nope. MacArthur. General MacArthur. All right, here we go. Not too taxing today. We start our study of World War II. Some might think this is an appropriate place to start because once again, the instigator, just like World War I, is going to be Germany, and the leader of Germany, we've already said, is. So before we start, I was just going to read you something from the textbook that you don't have to worry about having. Thank you. Okay, ready? Since I am an announcer. Are you ready? It's a long one, down in and around the 3-yard line. Ward Cuff takes it, coming up to his left. He's over the 10. Nice block by Lehman. Cuff still going. He's to the 25. Now he's hit and hit hard, about the 27-yard line. Bruiser Kennard made the tackle. We interrupt this broadcast for a special flash bulletin from the UP, United Press. The White House announces Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. So they're in the middle of a football game, right? That's announcing. That's what I was about to say tackle, right? Tack. And right there, the announcement came in on a Sunday, December 7th, 1941, that American soil had been attacked by the Japanese. Now, we already knew there was a war going on, right? The war started in September of 1939. Just like World War I, America did everything they could to stay out of it. Remember, we went into isolation mode after World War I, even after we started to stay out of World War I. Well, we've been attacked. When I say we, by the way, where's Pearl Harbor? Hawaii. Was Hawaii a state then? Talking 1941. Hawaii wasn't a state then, but it was our territory, right? It was our naval base and our territory, and a foreign country like World War I, we had to go where? Come on, all together now. Over there. Jeez, how quickly you forget. We had to go over there. Now the war has been brought to us. On December 7th, 1941, a date that will live in infamy. Okay. World War II, Germany. The leader is Adolf Hitler. We're gonna start our study of the war by talking about the major players, the major leaders of countries in Europe. That when we look at how they became leaders and the political climate in the 1930s in Europe, we look at, first of all, the ultimate bad guy, I guess, symbol of evil for the last 80 years worldwide, Adolf Hitler. Germany. Anybody know where Hitler was originally from? There's a neighboring country that Hitler was born in. Yeah. Austria. Very good. And at this time, of course, it's not Austria-Hungary anymore. Remember, Austria-Hungary was that empire before World War I. And now after World War I, things have been, the map looks a little different. Austria, neighbor of Germany. So indeed, he was born in Austria in 1889. Interestingly, he was baptized Catholic. According to the faith I grew up in, my first 7 years of life in Catholic school, first and second grade, and according to my aunt, that I'm so Catholic because I was baptized into the Catholic faith as an infant. And as far as I know then of the Catholic faith, that means that I am, or he
that if you're baptized into the church, then you're saved. What do you think about that? Would it sit well with anyone if they thought Adolf Hitler was in heaven? Doesn't sound right, does it? You're not thinking I'm saying he is, are you? Okay. I'm just saying to point out that baptized. Yeah.
Man.
Yes. Is it impossible that he is? Is it impossible? Does anyone in here know Adolf Hitler's commitment or non-commitment to the Lord at any time in his life? Are deathbed confessions possible? Are they? And would they really save a person even after such an evil life? Am I saved if I came to Christ as a sinner? And obviously I continue to sin, but if I accepted Christ to forgive my sins, was a hard beginning to learning about World War II. By the way, don't walk away from here thinking that I think Adolf Hitler's in heaven. I'm just saying. He moves to Germany in 1913. So let's do some quick math. How old is he?
24.
Very good. So at about 24 years old, he moves to Germany. He moved to Germany because life wasn't real good in Austria for him. In fact, life's not real good for Hitler at all. He's got probably a higher opinion of himself than everybody else has of him. Does that make sense? Like, he thinks that maybe he's a really good artist. You probably maybe have learned that he was an artist. And of course, he's not making it because it's everybody else's fault. It's not just he's not that good. So he's kind of in that kind of mindset. He did fight on the front lines in World War I. And the military gives him a purpose then. This life that he was living, not a whole lot of money. He had got inheritance from his family, his father and other parts of his family, like his aunt. So when he would run out of money, he would go, hey, can I have more of my inheritance? That would last him a little longer. He thought maybe he would make it as an artist. Never happened. But when it came time for war, here's another thing weird. This isn't in your notes, I don't think, but he left Austria at a time when he was being recruited into the military. So he leaves there and goes to Germany in 1913. 1914, the war starts, and it's the military that actually gives his life purpose. Because again, he was like living like a drifter. He really had no purpose in life. He had no success in any career. He was wounded a couple times in World War I. The last time he was wounded was like a month or so, 6 weeks before the war ended, and he was partially blinded by mustard gas. Somebody brought up chemical warfare, and in World War I, it was when it was introduced, and mustard gas partially blinded him. Of course, he recovered, but he didn't recover by the end of the war. And by that time, he had seen himself again. He had purpose. He's probably mad that he didn't get to finish the war. And he's really mad that he's in the hospital and Germany loses the war, right? Because now he's found purpose in his life. He's a soldier, and he's good at it. And he moves up the ranks. He becomes a leader. Big thing going on in Germany in the 19-teens. So while the war's going on, there's a growing anti-Semitism. Does anybody know what that means? What is anti-Semitism?
It's like you're against Jews.
Right. And this sentiment is growing in many places in the world, in Europe, especially in Germany. And it seems to be growing, especially in the military in Germany during the war. So Hitler gets purpose in his life by being in the German military. Being in the military, this growing anti-Semitism,
So before this, there wasn't any hint of like, why would he be against Jews in particular? But overall, there's a growing anti-Semitism, and the military is now his life. The war ended, remember, in 1918. In September of 1919, he goes to this meeting. It's a meeting of of a new political party that wants to organize, called the German Workers' Party. So you can, like, labor unions, right? People that want to be in labor unions and they want to unify all of the people that are in labor, because it's the unions against the business owners, like we talked about in the progressive movement, that somebody has to advocate for the workers, or the industrialists. Rockefeller will just take advantage of everyone, right? And this is kind of like where the sentiments about socialism come in. We had the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917 in Russia, where the communists took over and they started living according to those Marxist ideals that we're all in this together, and the only way that society's ever going to be equitable is if we, the people, the workers, take power away from the corporate leaders, the bourgeois, the industrialists. That's a very popular sentiment, isn't it? You can recruit a lot of people speaking like that, because 98% of the people don't think they're well off or rich. Everybody thinks their life's rough. They got to work harder and make less. And what an easy recruiting base that is. Later, this party is going to become the Nazis, the National Socialist Party of Germany. This is where we first see he wrote this. So you go back, and in Hitler's writings in 1919, in September of 1919, this was his quote. Well, it's a conglomeration of larger writing. I've condensed it into one short statement that gives you the full effect of what it says. Basically, the Jewish presence, just the fact that they exist, is like a race tuberculosis of the peoples. Tuberculosis is a disease, and it's a pretty contagious disease. All of you have been vaccinated against it, I'm pretty sure. 99% of kids that go to school, whether or not your family does vaccinations as a kid, I don't know, but most do. So one of those standard vaccinations is tuberculosis, TB. And this was what he talked about, what he wrote. The very presence of the Jewish people is a race tuberculosis of the peoples. And this is kind of funny, because last week, I hesitate to say popular because I really don't know anyone that watches it, but it must be kind of popular. It's been on for 20 some years. There's a show in the mornings when we're at school called The View. Ever heard of it? Okay. So one of the people on The View is a famous actress, Whoopi Goldberg. You ever heard of her? So she got suspended in this cancel culture because she made a statement on The View, and she was going on and on. I saw excerpts of it, and she was trying to make the case that the Holocaust, the Hitler going against the Jews, wasn't a race thing. Because people are so narrow-minded. They think that race is only, of course, in America, because America invented slavery. Anyway, that it's only black and white, right? So she was trying to make the case that Jewish people are white, so it was a white against white thing. So she was almost like trying to deny that the Jews faced anything like the blacks face. You understand what I'm saying? They actually suspended her for only 2 weeks. But right there, from the very beginning, Hitler's view of the Jews wasn't that they were, because it is true, when you think of Jews, do you think religion or race? A lot of people think of religion, right? So you can understand maybe a mix up there, but obviously, if you learn the history, not just this statement, but Hitler was against them not for the religion, for the race.
Take it back.
Mr. Franklin.
See you.